Many people go their whole lives not being able to communicate with people in their own hometown. What would you do if you needed help but no one around could understand you? Or what if someone asked you for help but you had no way to understand them? Unfortunately, a lot of people who are deaf and hard of hearing go through this struggle every day. Today, I'm going to explain why it's important that we embrace deaf culture and why I believe more people should learn basic sign language at an early age. So, what is the problem? Many simple things we do in our daily lives can be very challenging for a person who's deaf. In the event of an emergency, usually calling 911 operators is not an option for deaf people. A lot of cities and counties don't have access to a TTY system for them to use. Another problem is most drive-through services have not adapted to having deaf customers. It's very frustrating to use an intercom at a drive-through when you can't hear anything that they're saying. And without the use of sign language, this leaves deaf people with very few options at a drive-through. This can lead to a lot of confusion with the deaf customer and the employee, where the deaf customer has no way of telling them what they want or what they need help with, and the employee has no way of helping or understanding what they're even trying to say. The main cause of most of these problems is lack of education and understanding of the deaf community. If more public schools offered sign language classes to children at an earlier age, as adults, they would be more understanding of deaf culture and how to help a person who is deaf or hard of hearing. They would also learn basic signing skills, which can be very useful when trying to communicate to a deaf person if they know sign language. There are many other benefits to learning sign language at a young age, which can be higher reading levels and better communication skills, and it can help with motor skills. There are many advantages to learning sign language, but how does this apply to helping businesses? Fortunately, there are already a lot of solutions to some of the problems I talked about for helping deaf people, but they're simply just not widely used. Some drive-through services have come up with ways to make the process of using the drive-through simpler for deaf customers. A really good example of this is a video-enabled drive-through where a deaf customer can use a screen to use sign language to order what they want to an employee who on the other end who understands sign language and can help with that. A simpler way of this would just be having an employee who knows sign language work at the window in case of deaf customers so they can use sign language to help them order. Today I talked about services that are not properly accessible for the deaf and how sign language can help, and how learning sign language at an early age can help solve these problems. Although some of these solutions seem very simple, they can make a huge difference in breaking the communication barrier between the hearing and deaf populations.